Welcome to the Dresden Nexus podcast, recorded live from the 2025 Dresden Nexus Conference. I'm your host, Atika Fairuz-Saleh, and today we're joined by Lasse Markus, exhibition manager at Gallery Galschiøt. This year marks a special occasion as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the United Nations University. Throughout this series, we'll explore the future of resources and how navigating the interconnected challenges of water, energy, food, and land and other resources, the resource nexus, will shape our path toward a sustainable world. In this episode, we'll hear from Lasse Markus, who will share some invaluable insights. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Let's dive into the conversation.
Yes.
The sculptures Freedom to Pollute and Survival of the Fattest by Gallery Galschiøt deliver powerful social and political messages. We have the Freedom to Pollute sculpture erected here on site at the conference, and I have a 3D printed replica of the Survival of the Fattest here in my hand right now. What inspired these works, and what key messages do you hope visitors take away from them?
Well, first of all, I should maybe just describe it for the podcast audience. Well, the first one is Freedom to Pollute is a 6 meter tall Statue of Liberty, completely blue, and of her torch, there is a huge big cloud of smoke coming up constantly from a smoke machine that we put in there. So it looks pretty poisonous. And on her plate, she's holding like a small book, and it says Freedom to Pollute. So the inspiration came from actually all the way back during the Bush era, George Bush, the second president of the United States. He at one point he chose to go golfing instead of going to a climate summit, with the words, "The American way of life is not up for negotiations." Well, we can do whatever we want. We cannot be limited in the way that we deal, the way that we consume, the way that we act. And that kind of led to, well, what does he actually say? Well, he actually, and this is what inspired the sculpture, right? The Statue of Liberty is kind of the Western freedom symbol. It's the symbol of the possibility to do anything you want, to realize your dreams and everything. But at what cost? Especially in the present world where the resources that we consume have huge impacts all over the world, but also locally. I mean, when we overfish because we want to have fish on the table, if we overuse our land, cut our forests, and in climate sense, it pollutes the whole world. Yes.
These artworks have sparked significant discussions worldwide. Can you share some of the most memorable reactions on or impacts these pieces have had across different cultures?
Well, yeah. I think maybe I should also describe the survival of the fattest, because I think that is the one that had the most impacts around the world, which is a sculpture of a huge Justitia goddess, the Western goddess of justice, that is depicted in the old Greeks and in every courthouse in the Western world. You often see the woman with the blindfolded and with scale weights in her hand. But in this version, she's sitting on a very thin man, and he almost can't lift her. And it's 3.5 meters tall, the real one in bronze. And on the plate it says what the quote from Justitia, the big woman. She says, "I'm sitting on the back of a man. He's almost falling under the burden of me. I will do anything I can to help him, except stepping down," which is all about, well, we want to do a lot to save the climate. We want to do a lot to help in any way. But if it becomes a little inconvenient for us, maybe we do not want it. Maybe if we want to save the climate, but if we cannot fly to our vacation, maybe the climate comes a little in the back. We want to save the water, but we want to save everything. But if it means we cannot have the same goods that we did before, it becomes problematic, and you kind of push back. We will never sacrifice anything, our comfort.
I especially love it, and I think it's great that our conference participants also will get this great reminder as a little token that they get to bring home as well. Amazing. And I, as I understand, it's also made from recycled materials.
Yeah.
So the idea is also
cornstarch,
very
and
cool.
then it's recycled. Yeah.
Very
but
nice.
Please don't throw it out in the nature anyways, right? Because
or to thicken my soup. No.
Yeah, but I think that especially Survival of the Fattest have had huge inspirations around the world. We had it at a WTO conference in Hong Kong. We put it up back in 2005, and half a year later I was in Kerala in India. And we saw posters all over the streets with this sculpture, and found out, hey, it's a local organization who took it in about justice and how they see the world. And it was like, whoa, what kind of impressions are we having? And another example is that, somebody told, hey, I know somebody who has a tattoo with it, and we looked it up online, and it turned out we just found plenty of tattoos, and somebody who had it all over his back.
Wow.
And at another point, we were sitting with a Burmese refugee, a guy we were eating dinner with, and he tells us, and he looks through some of the things, and he says of some of the sculptures that we made, and he said, "Whoa, wait! I had that picture on my fridge when I was a kid. I've been sitting and drawing this exact photo all during my childhood, and now I'm sitting here with you that actually made it." I accidentally stumbled upon a Brazilian image of it that had been shared on Facebook 500,000 times shared, which had spread out into the Latin American countries. And so it's really, really, the impact is far beyond what we could have imagined. And
Amazing.
And I also think that a lot of people see themselves as see the hypocrisy, the double standards, and they see. I mean, we were at COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, and a lot of people from, for example, Bangladesh came home and say, "Oh, this is how I feel. This is exactly the description of what we are trying to say. This is the frustration we are living with." And in other occasions, you have, like from Turkey, where they say, "This is Erdogan, the big woman. This is Erdogan, the president. You see, this is exactly that. Maybe he's not a woman. Maybe he's not as fat as she is. But this is Erdogan." And so they see themselves in it, and they interpret it, which I think is also what art can do, right?
Excellent. That's a great segue to my next question. Looking ahead, how do you see art continuing to challenge societal norms and prompting change? Do you believe art can effectively influence public opinion and policy? And how will it contribute to future global conversations on environmental justice?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because it's difficult to set a score under it, right? But I mean, what I just told you, the examples, I think tells something about how broad it gets out. It gets out to even the small kitchens in Burma, but also to the newspapers. I mean, very often, for example, there's freedom to pollute, but also Survival of the Fattest have been on the front page of New York Times, and very often at the climate summits, they are the pictures that the media use for it. So the impressions and the expressions that the sculptures have, they are the ones that are sent out to the media. Maybe they don't use a long time to describe it, but the messages are very clear. And also, it's and I think that is very important. That's something we hear from a lot of professors at conferences like this. They very much encourage us to continue the work and to integrate art more into it, because they say, well, this expresses all that we cannot express. Our papers, our long thesis about how everything works, it's so difficult to communicate, but art can communicate it. And media has very difficult time when you go to the ones that say, I want to publish this article, and they say, with what photo? With a lot of people in suits talking about climate, and the editor will go, no, you can't do that. But if they come with a sculpture saying, this sculpture was outside this polar bear army that we had at COP21 and COP23, or an impaled polar bear of 6 meters tall on a graph of CO2 emission. Those photos, they will get the article, they will get the discussion about climate and about resource consumptions and about other social issues into the newspapers, into the media.
Brilliant. Really love the work that you guys are doing. Now, in one word, what do we need most to secure a bright resource future?
Yeah, that's difficult. And I bet that half the people here say 20 words or something. I actually found one word, but maybe it does need some elaboration. Please. I think sustainability. Mm-hmm. Sustainability is the word. And I know that it's old and it's being over-interpreted and everything, but whenever you do something, you have to think of the next generations. Do they get the same opportunities, or am I, by my choices, taking away opportunities from my kids, their kids, and so on? If that was completely integrated into society, I think we would be at a very different place and had a brighter future. So this is my word.
Thank you, Lasse, for sharing your expertise and vision on such a critical topic. It's conversations like these that help us reimagine the future of resources and sustainability, your word. We hope you enjoyed this episode and it sparked new ideas on how we can all contribute to a more sustainable and equitable future. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Dresden Nexus podcast, where thought leaders from around the world come together to explore solutions to the resource nexus. Until next time, I'm Atika Fairuz Saleh, and thank you for listening.